Hello, AEN. Greetings, everyone. I am Guajerat. I'm from Cameroon, and I am the Methods, Grants, and Partnership Manager at eBase Africa. So, today we will be looking at a research framework titled Bridge Africa, that is building research intelligence through graduate evidence skills. For our presentation outline, we'll explore a challenge, we'll explore our Bridge Africa solution, and we'll see how we plan to test it and discover how we might just work together. Okay, going deep into our presentation today, I would like to start with a story. The title of the story is The Price of Ignoring Evidence, and this story is centered around a young girl named Manka from Bafut. Bafut is a village from the northwest region of Cameroon. Manka is the only girl amongst nine brothers. She grew up fascinated about mechanics. She loved electricity. She loved building things like fixing motorcycles and understanding how systems work. But her father already decided her future, and he said girls must become nurses. Despite her natural talent for technical subjects, Manka was pushed into general education, then nursing school. When it was time for her final research project, she wanted to study laboratory equipment. That's her true passion. Her supervisor refused, insisting that she has to work on research maternal health. Just imagine. Today, Manka works as a nurse, but her heart remains in mechanics. She takes evening courses, all uh, in a quest of trying to follow her real interest. But here's where the story gets serious. Last year, around March, while she was treating a patient's wound, she was really tired, and she was distracted by mechanical thoughts and adventures. So as she reached into her supply cupboard for an antiseptic, she rather grabbed battery acid. You know, all of these liquids are almost the same and they are in like similar bottles. Now, she used this acid to treat this patient's wound, like to clean the patient's wound, and the patient's leg was severely burned. Now, tell me, who is to be blamed? Or who is to blame? Manka Awu made the mistake, the supervisor who denied her research interest, the father who ignored her natural talent, or a system that forces brilliant minds into the wrong paths. When we ignore evidence about what students are truly capable of and passionate about, we don't just waste talent, we create danger. Imagine if Manka had access to evidence about her natural abilities. Just imagine if she could see the labor market that is showing opportunities for women in technical fields. So, this is why evidence informed education isn't just about employment statistics, it's about human lives, it's about human potential, and it's about human safety. Looking at the problem statement, we have a core problem. And it states that in Africa, 24% of young university graduates are unemployed. But at the same time, employers are desperately looking for people who can find and use information effectively. The current teaching methods, often borrowed from the West, don't always connect with how African students naturally learn. This creates a dangerous mismatch between the skills graduates have and the skills in the job market. So, our big question is, how can we blend our own African teaching methods like storytelling with modern research skills to make our graduates more employable and their learning more relevant? Looking at our research objectives, our primary objective is to develop and evaluate a comprehensive framework for integrating evidence synthesis into African university curricula. That's by using indigenous training methods. For our secondary objectives, we have to assess the effectiveness of Toride storytelling method in evidence education, to measure impact on graduate employability and career field alignment, to evaluate research utilization rates through digital repository implementation, to determine optimal faculty training approaches for indigenous evidence integration, and the last is to establish sustainable scaling mechanisms across African universities. So for our research design, we will employ mixed method implementation study with pre-post intervention assessment and qualitative evaluation. Looking at our theoretical foundation, we will have various theories, various angles to explore. First, in the line of implementation science framework, we'll be looking at consolidated frameworks for implementation research. Secondly, for social and cognitive theory, we'll be learning through observations. We have cultural modeling and self-efficacy. Thirdly, in the line of indigenous knowledge systems theory, we'll have an integration of traditional ways of knowing with formal education. And lastly, for evidence-based practice framework, there will be a systematic integration of research evidence with practice. We have proof that this can work. For example, storytelling has already increased research use by 70% in our own projects. Stories help people remember information like 22% better. When learning is culturally relevant, students are more engaged. And when people are in the right job, they make fewer mistakes. The gap we are feeling is that no one has systematically combined African teaching methods with research skills training in our universities. Looking at our intervention framework, we have a solution, which is Bridge. Bridge is building evidence skills through stories. We have real-time career intelligence system. We have another component which is implementation research platform. We have a data-driven learning insights, and we have graduate employment tracking, and finally we have evidence to practice pipeline. So our approach bridge actually connects African wisdom with modern evidence tools, making evidence-based learning feel natural and culturally authentic. Now, on to our implementation strategy and phases. We'll have three phases. The first phase being the foundation phase. The second, we have an active implementation phase. And the third being the evaluation and scaling preparations. For the first phase, we'll have activities related to first, faculty training in Toride evidence teaching. That's we have to train about 100 lecturers with or about Toride teaching mechanisms. Secondly, platform development and cultural content integration. Thirdly, we have baseline data collection and control group establishment. For our second phase, which talks of active implementation, this will run from month 13 to month 24. That's the second year. We'll have a full intervention deployment across 5 universities. We'll have real-time data collection and adaptive modifications. We'll have employer partnership development for placement tracking. And on to our last and third phase, we will have which talks of evaluation and scaling preparations. We have various aspects under it. First being a comprehensive impact assessment and cost effective analysis. Secondly, We'll look into scaling framework development for additional universities. And lastly, we'll have policy brief preparations for government adoptions. So our full scope of this implementation strategy and phases has to cover aspects with cover aspects of cultural authenticity plus technological reliability. So for our expected outcomes and impact matrices, we will be happy, to have an increase or a positive feedback on graduate employment rates. We'll be happy to have a, an increasing feedback on evidence synthesis competencies, on career field alignment. Then for our secondary impact indicators, for research utilization, we expect to see a high rate or a high ratio of research being used. Teaching effectiveness should actually increase, and cultural integration, that's integrating aspects of our culture into our learning models, should really increase. Then for the long-term outcomes, we expect to have a reduced workplace errors through better career matching, enhance African research capacity and policy relevance. And lastly, we have a sustainable model for continental higher education transformation. Now, looking at aspects of our research contribution and significance, we expect that evidence from this intervention or from this framework should be able to inform theoretical contribution, should be able to inform practical contributions throughout universities and policies, and should be able to make a global significant and a global impact. Now, looking at aspects of discussions of results and partnership opportunities, we cannot really do this alone. We see partnership opportunities for universities to co-implement the study, for governments to help create supportive policies, for employers to help track and hire our graduates, now for funders to invest in scaling what works, and finally for international partners to adapt this model in other domains. So our immediate next steps are directed to get ethical approval, finalize our research tools, and start recruiting and training lecturers. To conclude, our formula is simple. Evidence plus culture plus implementation equals to transformation. Thank you for your time. We believe that by bridging our rich past with these tools of the future, we can unlock the incredible potential of Africa's next generation. Thank you.